This episode was sponsored by Beckett's Slow Gin.
Interviews.
Welcome to the Ginterviews.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yes, thank you. I don't want 7 years of bad sex. Thank you very much.
Oh. I'm here with none other than the fantastic, the delicious, the brilliant Alexis Strum.
Thank
Say
you. Hello. Hi, Kerry.
She's not here really. Just imagine
She's
a
not here
huge
really.
silence.
It's not really me, but I am delicious. So I like
She
that.
is.
I'm
She is
very
delicious.
delicious.
And you're here to chat about creativity, drink some gin.
Mhm.
You are a writer, a comedian, singer-songwriter as well, and you're soon to be releasing an album that was supposed to be released like 20 years ago.
20 years ago, yeah. So we're in 2023 and it was supposed to come out. Oh, there's 2 albums I made. So one I made in 2003 and one I made in 2006 or thereabouts, maybe 2005. And they're both going to come out this year, which is crazy. So yeah,
That's
it's like 20 years wait. Well, not that I've been waiting,
Yeah.
just been doing other things, but like after 20 years, they're finally going to emerge
Yeah.
and I will be the new Beyonce.
I can't wait. It's fucking brilliant.
I mean,
Can I be in one of your music videos?
yeah, like literally you could choreographize them.
I love it. The gin's gone straight to the
Choreograph
mouth.
them.
The first victim.
Yeah, the words. I'm struggling with words today in general.
It's just the heat, babe. It's the heat.
yeah,
gets
it's kind
to
of
us.
muggy, isn't it? But yeah, so I'm like, I mean, I'm just doing so many different things at once, to be honest with you. It's my theory of creativity is that if you throw enough things at the wall, something will stick.
I feel that I personally have been trying out the thing where you just have so much that you're doing, you
Yeah.
don't have time to really think about anything else. Like, as in when you're on one project, you've got 5 other things you're doing, but you can't dwell on any of them because there's just not enough time.
Yeah, totally.
I think that that's a healthy way to operate, is it?
Yeah, and I think it's also like, because we're both parents as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Shock horror. Like I was just talking to a friend of mine and just saying about how having a child has completely focused my creative endeavours because I don't have time to think about them. So
Yeah.
you just do as much as you can in the time that you have free.
Mhm.
And it's quite liberating actually.
And also, you don't just say yes to anything when you have a child because it has to be something that is worth it. Like, if
Yeah.
you're going to spend time away from them, you have to be able to buy them dinner in exchange, or, like, it's got to be a really cool project,
Totally.
free things, or like, I don't know, exploitative things. It's just easier to say no. Like,
I think unless it's financially or creatively gonna
yeah.
encompass something that you're looking to work towards and better your life, there is no point in doing it. Like literally, I mean, I think of like when I started out, all the sort of short films or
Oh God, yeah,
terrible
the endless
stage
short
projects
films.
and stuff. Yeah, the endless short films. Although I do like doing short films and good ones, yes, it's worth it. But yeah, when I look back and think, Jesus, that I did so many things for free
Mhm.
that I should have just said no, or it's not so much for free, even just things like, like silly little things that were not really what I wanted to do or be, and then you just feel like obligated because if someone offers you something, you feel like, oh my God, they like me, they want me, but that's not really enough, is it?
Well, also, I think like when I first started doing stuff, you have an idea like, oh, I'm going to do this short film and it might lead to this thing, and then I might meet this person, and I don't know, you can get really down the wrong path with future planning rather than enjoying the project that you're on, just because you imagine it might lead you somewhere. Whereas actually it's kind of totally random, and you meet cool people and you can make cool things.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not necessarily going to be anything more than just that project itself. And that counts, I guess, on any level, because it kind of goes back to you with that record deal 20 years ago, like the enjoyment of just having that at the time. Like, how did you feel in that? Or were you future planning, like thinking about when the album were to come out and stuff?
Good question. I think I was probably more in the present. I think that social media always keeps us one step away now from whatever we're working on. And I think at that point, I didn't have other interests. I was just about music. That was literally it. So now, obviously, like, I write, I act, I do other things. But yeah, I was very much in the moment. I wasn't thinking of the future, and the only thing I was thinking, I suppose, was like, oh, I hope this is successful when it comes out. But I did really enjoy, I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed writing with different people every day, because when you're a songwriter or you're making an album, you get put with loads of different people. It's like sort of chemistry test constantly of seeing who you're going to get on with. And I really enjoyed that process, because sometimes you'd have a really shit writing session, and then sometimes you'd just click with someone and it was really fun. But yeah, I was very much in the now and in the present, and I'd like to get back to that, really.
Do you think that that's because of who you were surrounded by as well? Because you were working with, I'm not saying you're not working with incredible people now, but you were definitely swept up in a machine, right? Like you were alongside people like Razorlight and the Tinklings, I read today.
Yes, that's right.
And like making music for people like Kylie Minogue, like and Rachel Stevens and Jessie J, and there were other people too, right?
Yeah,
like,
there was lots of
it's a machine that you were kind of put into.
Yeah, and it was sink or swim, very much like I felt like I had to deliver and be up to a certain level to be amongst those people. And it's interesting because one of the writers that I wrote with, called Billy Steinberg, so he's just I wrote a song with him called It Could Be You, which is on this album that comes out in October, that should have come out 20 years ago. And he's just recently brought out a playlist of all the songs that he's written for other people. So I listened to it in the car with my daughter over the weekend. And there's So Emotional by Whitney Houston, Cyndi Lauper, True Colours, Like a Virgin by Madonna.
No way.
I Stand By You by the Pretenders.
What?
Like all of these big songs. And at the time, I just was like, right, well, I'm going to write with this guy. It didn't even occur to me that I wasn't on the level. I contacted him and he was like, oh, cool. I think the novelty of being British and being out in LA, he was like, well, she must be someone decent. Otherwise, she wouldn't have contacted me. Yeah. Little did he know. But, I think at that time, because I was so confident in what I was doing, and I'd honed my craft and I'd worked in music for so long, I'd, moved up the ranks, that, I was very present. Now I feel like I'm at differing levels in all the various things that I do, and I'm not quite as confident, maybe certainly not with the music now, because I'm slightly out of touch.
Because you've been doing more comedy and...
Yeah, and I don't really know the music landscape. If you work in something, you have to study it and be an expert. So I feel like I know TikTok. I've studied that.
You're doing very well on TikTok.
Thank you.
What's your handle?
So it's at Alexis Strom Comedy.
There we go.
Yes, because Alexis Strom was already taken. There's another one.
No way.
Yeah, there's like 2, I think. Damn them.
But going back to, you were in LA because the record label had paid for you to go out there, and you just contacted this guy. I love the confidence of youth and also inexperience, like
totally,
that you just don't know what is going on around you, so you've no idea whether you're supposed to we're getting the bongs here, so we all know what time it is. Are they nearly done? It's quite early.
Yeah, it's only a few bongs, right?
But I once was I was on set as an extra on Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and I ended up with just one other extra. I was 20. I was like finishing my undergraduate degree. It was before I went to drama school. And I ended up in a room with one other extra, Gary Oldman and Benedict Cumberbatch. So it was just the 4 of us together for about 3 hours shooting just one tiny scene where they're in a wimpy. And if you watch the film back, I walk out of the wimpy at the top of the scene.
Right, okay.
And I'm 20. And I only knew Gary Oldman really from like Batman, Commissioner Gordon. And I knew he was from...
Nil by Mouth.
No, not Nil by Mouth.
Right,
like,
okay.
yeah. And I didn't know who Benedict Cumberbatch was at all.
Right.
Because he'd done Sherlock, but it was just the beginning of his like break, 2010, or 2011, around that time. And so I was chatting away to Gary Oldman about being from the Old Kent Road, because we're both from the same place, which was, super lovely. He's so kind. He was just eating loads and loads of food, like the prop food, just chatting away. He didn't care. And Benedict Cumberbatch was really, really quiet, obviously, because this is like one of his first kind of huge leading role Hollywood productions. And I think they knew this was going to launch him to be who we know he is now. Anyway, I got home and I had a couple of buddies who went to drama school with him, and they were friends with him on Facebook. And he was still on Facebook with a normal public profile at this point. And so I whacked Benedict Cumberbatch just a quick little message, just saying, hey, great to work with you today. It was like, I wrote something like, haven't seen you in anything, but I thought what you did today was great.
You're doing very well. I'm sure you'll go from strength to strength.
Yeah, it was so hilarious, this email. It was like, I'm thinking about going to drama school. If you had any advice, like, could you possibly pop it over? I know you went to Lambda with a couple of my mates, like, blah, 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 and named them. Obviously got nothing back, because I opened with, I've never seen you in anything. And he just like, I think he won BAFTAs for Sherlock. Like, Sherlock was a big deal. and it was very embarrassing. But it's that kind of
that is a terrible opener, by the way.
Yeah.
Literally,
you're great. I don't know. I haven't seen you do anything, but you were brilliant today when I sat with you on set for 3 hours. Just the audacity, just the pure audacity of you.
I used to do that kind of thing all the time. Like I remember a band called Suede. Do you remember Suede?
Yes. What did that? Give me a couple of their hits.
Animal Nitrate. God, I can't think of Suede songs now. But they were around like they were indie band in the, I want to say 90s, I think. And the guitarist Bernard Butler, I was like a huge fan of him as a songwriter and whatever. And I found out he was playing in London. He was doing like a show with David McCollum. They had a song called Yes. Mm-hmm. And so I gave a tape of my songs to him. I
love that.
Yeah, I put it in a little brown paper envelope and gave it to him at the stage door, or gave it to someone to give to him. I don't know what I was hoping to get out of it. I don't even know if there was a message. It was just like, this is my music. Listen to my music.
This though. It's that, I guess you maybe want validation, or you want your heroes to listen to you, or you just want some advice. I think coming into the industry, like you just want somebody to go, oh, do you know what? I see the potential.
Yeah.
Why don't you meet this person? Or why don't you, I don't know, come and watch this thing? Or certainly that's what I was looking for when I messaged Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm still waiting for my reply, Ben.
Well, it could happen. Maybe he'll watch this and he'll be like, you should definitely like tag him. But yeah, no, I did it again. Like all throughout my career, I've contacted people and asked for their support or advice. But funnily enough, when I was recording my album, Coldplay were in the studio next door.
Oh, stop it. What were they doing?
They were making another album. And so I put a CD of where we were up to with the album. Pardon me, I put it in another package. Honestly, I bought a lot of packages over the years. Put it under his door, just saying, I think Coldplay are the best band ever. This is some of the songs I'm working on. I'm in the studio next door if you want to come and say hi. No response. And that was when I was almost a peer. So now I hate Coldplay. No, I don't.
Chris Martin.
Love them. I love Chris Martin.
You're going to dunk on him when you do your album release.
Of course. But yeah, no, I've always done that over the years. And I think the thing is, I equally have had, and I'm no one special, but I've had a lot of people over the years come to me for advice. And I always make the time to give that back because I think it's cyclical and that's what you have to do. And I remember there was a young boy who my mum used to teach, and he wanted to become a music producer. And I remember he called me up and I was doing quite well with the music, and he was like, oh, are you sure you don't mind? You can help me? And I was like, yeah, I'm such a pop star, but I'll help you. Yeah. And I gave him advice. I told him exactly what gear to buy and everything. And now he runs some huge music production studio, and he's doing really well. That's his career.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and it's lovely to be a part of that. So I don't know why these fuckers don't get back to us. Do you know what I mean?
Chris Martin, Benedict Cumberbatch. How dare they?
He could have been part of something big. What's he doing with Coldplay? Come on, small fry. So yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that. I think that's great that you did that.
Paying it forward. Yeah, it's yeah, it's nice to help people or to be there. What was your background? So what about coming in? How did you get to the point where you were signed? Because I do think that maybe your journey in might affect how sort of kind you want to be to people coming in behind you.
Sure. I worked for it, so I didn't have any sort of connections or anything like that in the music business, and I've never had any connections in anything, to be honest with you. So I've always just had to work hard. I don't come from a particularly privileged background or anything like that. So if I do something, and in music, there's been times when I've put a lot of my money into it, and that's something that people don't realise as well. When my label deals fell through, I still continue with music for a little bit, but I was putting my own money into it.
So you're paying for your own demos, your own studio?
I was paying my session players £350 a day.
Wow, out of your own pocket.
Yeah, and the money went fast. So that's something that people don't always discuss or are open and honest about. And certainly, even with the acting, I made a number of short films myself that I funded myself from my day job. And I think that's what you have to do. If you're serious about anything, it's an investment, and maybe there's not always a return on your investment, but it's the process is the investment. The journey's the investment.
Love that. That's a theme. That's definitely a theme through these podcast episodes as well, that it's so about just enjoying the journey. Like I was just saying, being too future orientated, you're not kind of here
that's it,
enjoying the thing that you're actually doing.
But it's hard, and you have to keep reminding yourself of that, and like going. I think
so yeah, depending on the project and stuff. And also, do you find, so this is interesting, because your TikTok, like recently you did one that just blew up.
Yeah, it's insane.
Has it had like millions of views?
Yeah, like there's a few sketches that I've done that have now like cumulatively had about 4 million views.
Wow.
That literally have taken no more time than any of the ones that got 200 views. Yeah, you know.
So it's just random.
Utterly arbitrary. However, they are successful because I've put in the work.
And because you've done all the other ones leading
all the other ones that were shit, or that didn't get as many. All the other ones that didn't get as many views are all part of the same body of work. And the ones that get a lot of views and the other ones that get a small amount of views are all part of the same family. So it's like, I wouldn't be able to have made one that gets a lot of views out of context. I had to make the other stuff to kind of like see what works,
and to get all the followers to put you in the right kind of place to be seen by so many people.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't think that the people that saw it were necessarily my followers. I think that with TikTok there's a for you page that you hit, and I think because amongst my followers there was such interest in these videos, then the algorithm works where TikTok goes, oh that's hot, and then puts it onto the for you page. And then you get this whole, like, you get, everybody can see it, so, or if they choose to. But, you know, everything's studied, everything is grafted for. And going back to your question of how I got into it, I was in bands at school. I was always writing songs, learning to play the guitar, sort of trying to play other instruments. And then as soon as I left school, over that summer holiday, I started applying to jobs as a pop star. I'd buy the Melody Maker and NME, and I'd respond to all of the ads in the back. So any band that was looking for a singer, any songwriter that was looking for a singer, anyone that was looking for anything, you know, it just literally applied to everything. And I was just fortunate that after a while, someone that I was writing with happened to be published. Then I got a publishing deal because I'd written songs with them. And then I started going up the ranks. But it was a long process. I started young, but I think, so by the time I finished university, I was 21, I got my first publishing deal, which in those days was quite unheard of. It was really young. And from there, things kind of exponentially went up. But I guess at the time, it's hard to imagine yourself at that age, isn't it? Like, I can't really remember what I was like or what I felt like, but it did feel like winning the lottery, you know, because it was huge. And I remember I can see myself in my old manager's office, and the fax is coming through the machine, and it's got like the amounts on it, which were huge amounts of money. And I was just like, oh my God, this is going to change my life. And then I spent it all on Chinese food and like clothes and boys.
Because when you're 20, it's like £1,000 feels like it's going to change your life.
And you know, because my dad's an accountant, he's the opposite of like being money conscious with me. So he was like, spend it, enjoy yourself.
No way.
Yeah, seriously. So I blame my dad.
That's nice though. Aren't you glad you did that? That you had that experience, like proper rock and roll.
Oh, absolutely. I was amazing. So rock and roll. I went to the best restaurants. I mean, I honestly, I spunk that cash good and hard and proper. I really did.
Who was it from again? You were signed to
Warner Chappell. So Warner Chappell was the publishing deal. And then from there, I actually signed a lot more deals than just the two.
Oh, so you can sign as many deals as you want?
Yeah.
So I kept one person wants you, everybody else is like, hey, can we also have a piece?
Yeah, as long as it's different material. So I signed first song I did, I got signed to Ministry of Sound. Then I got signed to Sony Records. Then I got another one signed, something in Germany or whatever, and I was guest vocaling, so you can do as many as you want. And then I got like the big deal with Warner's, and then the big deal with Universal. So I've probably been signed to pretty much every single record label, and I'm still completely unknown.
Well, I don't think you're completely unknown, because you have definitely got a following. And it was partly your following that sort of got the re-release of this album, right? It was your social media. That's what I love about this. It's like you posting on Twitter and Instagram about this story and on TikTok led to your fans being like, please, can we hear this album? Yeah. And now you've signed to a new, like, how does that work? Because did the label not own the album?
So sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. In my case, the reason I never, and this is so stupid, I can't believe I was such an idiot, but for 20 years, I just assumed I didn't have the rights to that music.
No way.
Just let it go. I just thought, I'm walking away from this. It's like a breakup when you go, okay, you can have the house, I'll take the kids, by...
Because there was some heartbreak involved. So you'd recorded this album, you were ready to release it, and then they just said, we're not releasing it.
Yeah,
and it's really, it works?
Yeah, kind of. And it's hard to really pinpoint exactly what happened. I can't remember exactly, but it was the second time round, a new guy came into the label who headed up the label, and he hadn't signed me directly. And he looked at the roster and he was like, I'm not sure about these. I like the artists that I've brought in. So it was kind of a political thing. He just didn't really get me. He was like, what is she? I don't really understand. Who is she? So, yeah.
Nikki Graham, R.I.P.
I know, I love Nikki. So yeah, and then I remember saying to my dad, I don't think they're going to release this. And they were like, well, we'll release a different single. But maybe in a few months, could you write some more hits? And I was like, mate, this is the best I can do.
This is my album.
This is my album. I don't want to go away. I don't want to write anymore. I've worked on this for a long time. So I said, I'll give you 6 months or 3 months. I said, if you don't release anything in 3 months, I go.
Really? How long had you been working on that album for?
Probably like an hour and a half. A year and a half. I think about a year and a half. And because I'd written and produced it myself, it was my baby. It literally was like my child. And I honestly couldn't see how I could have taken some songs from somebody else, right? But then that wouldn't have been true to who I was. And my downfall is that I have artistic integrity, because a lot of things I would have done differently if I hadn't, and I'd probably be a lot wealthier. You would have just
carried on recording.
Yeah, I would have said, okay, well, give me a couple of songs by like Rick Knowles or Calvin Harris or whatever, whoever was big at the time, and I'll just record those and put those out as singles, and I think they would have been probably quite happy with that.
But you wanted to write your own material.
Yeah, because there was like a whole story behind the songs. There was a continuity, and I didn't want to change that. And it's really hard, because when you're in that situation and you've been given this huge opportunity, and it's like that film The Devil Wears Prada, where you feel like you should just be constantly grateful. Oh my God, I've been allowed to do an album. Oh wow, I'm so lucky. But actually, you have to then go out there and sing that and tour it for the next however many years of your life. And I just felt like I just can't compromise. I can't compromise. And I've been eager to please my whole life, but I just couldn't compromise on that.
That's amazing to have had that vibe so young, as a young woman in the industry, which, at that point definitely, and still is, dominated by men. To have the strength to be like, actually, this is not what I want to release, and the awareness, that this is my catalogue, this is my legacy. Like, do I want to release an album that I'm not going to believe in? I just think that's insane. Like, at 20, I don't think I would have had the head on my shoulders.
Well, I think I was about 25 at that point.
Okay.
But yeah,
even by 25.
But I think I'm happier. Is that music? Do you mind that? That's.
I'm just going to close the window. Oh, I've got a dead leg. Oh,
I have too, actually, because I've been crossing my legs. I thought you were just going to go to the window and go, shut up!
We are in a real pub, so I don't mind.
No, it's cool. It's ambient.
Jesus Christ, I can't feel my leg. Oh, we're back.
But going back to what you're saying, I'm happier now that I'm finally releasing the album I wanted to release, even if 4 people hear it, because it's my life. That is my life. I really can't compromise who I am. I really don't want to. And those songs exist, and they exist in the way that they exist. And I'm really pleased that I didn't sell out, as it were. Because there was always other options, I think. And as well, I never really argued with them. I never went in there and had that moment, that showdown. And actually, the head of Universal Records rang me up, and he said, "Oh, I'm really worried that you hate me, and that if you see me out, you're not going to punch me or anything." And I just thought it was the most ridiculous thing in the world. I was like, "Where would you think? Like, what about me gives you that vibe? Like."
Do you think if you'd been a man, it would have been easier?
I don't know.
Not to reduce it all to gender. It's just I was reading the letter that Sinead O'Connor wrote to Miley Cyrus. I don't know if you've read that.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that. I saw the letter that she wrote to Piers Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very funny. What was the one to Miley Cyrus?
Well, it's interesting because she wrote it to her in 2013 after Wrecking Ball came out. And it's just about being a woman in the music industry and saying there's lots of men who are going to want you to be naked and sell your sexuality. I think you're more than that, and you should just respect your talent, and that, you know, it's okay to do that now, but when you get to middle age, it will be harder and you'll just be thrown on a trash heap. So like, you know, really respect your talent and let that shine, and fuck these men who are going to make loads of profit off of you being naked, you know, because that's not just what you do. And I thought it was interesting because obviously there's different perspectives in terms of being a feminist, but it definitely highlighted something about music industry for me, because I don't know anything about music industry whatsoever. Although I could imagine that there's, you know, lots of men making decisions about young women especially. But yeah, so if you were a guy, do you think it would have been easier to navigate the kind of creative control over that album and release?
No, I don't think it would have made any difference, because my peers that were on the label at the same time as me, and I can't remember the names of the band, but there were other bands that were signed at the same time as me that this happened to. Male bands, male artists, and I saw it happen many times over, and it will continue to happen. Probably not so much now, because I think labels are more cautious about who they sign. They sign less artists for less money, whereas then there was an untold amount of money in the industry.
So it's early noughties.
Early noughties, yeah, exactly.
Who were you alongside that you were sort of excited to be rubbing up shoulders with?
Justin Timberlake, and I was going to be the tour support for him in London. I was like,
and in early noughties as well. That's Senorita, and like what was his first album? That's Justified, came out in 2001.
Exactly. And then someone did a remix of one of his tracks and one of my tracks.
No.
Yeah, and then like I think the goal was that I would support him, but then in the end, I can't remember. I think something came up, or I had to go and record or re-record or something, and I didn't get to do the tour.
You were like, Justin, honey, I just don't have time for you.
Wow,
you left NSYNC, so babe, I can't commit to this.
But
you're flighty.
Also, because I was single at that.
Or maybe you can trust yourself around
I'm not sure. I think I was single. I can't remember. I was in a long-term relationship, but it kept breaking, and then we would get back together. So for me, it was like, oh my god, like this is the potential. I might get Justin Timberlake dick. This could be fun.
Was it Trouser Snake?
Trouser Snake.
That's what the press called him. I mean, he always seemed just like a good boy to me. You know, like he didn't seem like a womanizer, but the press was so intent on making him seem like that.
He was like such a heartthrob. They really made him into a heartthrob, didn't they?
Did you get to meet him, or was it just that you were floated that you might go on tour with him?
No, it was definitely going to happen. I think Five ended up touring for him. Someone like really unexpected.
Love Five, bless them.
It might have been Five, I'm not sure, but no, I didn't get to meet him. But it was around that time. So other people that were around that time, I guess, would have been. I remember Holly Valance was around when I did my first album.
Kiss Kiss.
Kiss Kiss. She was on the same label as me, and they did kind of want me to be a little bit sexy. I remember having conversations about being a bit sexier, which I very much poo-pooed.
Because you were grungy, right?
I was quite grungy and rocky, kind of had a jacket like this. And she was literally in the Kiss Kiss video. She's naked, I think. She's pretty much naked,
No, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good for her.
No, it's fine. Like,
and the music was great.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you don't want to do that, then that's got to be a hard position.
Yeah, no one made any suggestion that I should. But there was definitely the word sexy was mentioned a few times. Like, I might need to be sexy, or there's something that's not sexy enough, or something like that. I remember that. And then the second time I did my album, I remember... You know that feeling of like, if you're ever dating someone and then like, or you just started liking someone and then you find out that there's a girl that he knows, and then you scroll through her Facebook and you're like, ooh, and you get really jealous. And I remember the label always used to talk about Florence and the Machine and be like, that was the comparison. And they'd be like, wow. You know, because Florence is doing this, Alexis, so and Florence has done this remix, or she's doing this festival. And I was so heavily compared to her. And I felt like, it set up this rivalry that didn't need to exist. It's not like there can only be one Florence and then everybody, all the seats taken. But that's very much a male perspective of female artists at that time. It was just, you can only have one. So I definitely felt that to an extent. But I can't remember who else I was sort of compared to. I can't remember who was around then, but probably Florence was the biggest one that I was compared to.
And her first album came out in about 2009, I think it was. Lungs, or the big album. Like
I
she
think
probably
she was
had
releasing.
EPs and LPs
She was definitely performing and releasing stuff, like maybe EPs, that sort of thing. Because I remember going to see her, and just being like, oh my God, she's incredible. Kate Nash, I think, was around the same sort of time. There was a few of us, but the singer-songwriter world was not really established in this country. It was more like an American thing. It was kind of had always existed. But over here, it wasn't quite there yet. You know, you had like Natalie Imbruglia, but she wasn't a singer-songwriter because she was a pop star singing other people's songs.
Yeah. So do you feel now that you can reclaim some power in this? You know, that like this whole journey of you re-releasing this album and doing it in your way, do you feel quite vindicated and powerful and kind of like that it's the right time now?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the right time. I think probably the time has passed, but it's a nice celebration. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that I would fit into the music industry at this point in time. I'm not sure that I do fit in, but I never did.
Well,
so
and I feel like a lot of industries are opening up a bit more now in terms of representation and like especially for women and what women are allowed to do, and the move away from everything needing to be sexy and like to sell that as the most important thing. Not saying you're not sexy, but
I'm incredibly sexy.
Obviously you are. Like, I didn't want to prop up the patriarchy by saying it, but like I think like getting to use your talent first and do it in your way and be sexy in your own way, surely there's a place for that then.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm still, and I've been asked this a lot because I've done a lot of interviews recently, and I've really been sort of examining things and trying, you know, have the space to think about stuff. But I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what my goal is or what I want to do with the music at the moment. So I'm still letting everything just settle and seeing where it goes.
Sounds like you're pretty present. You're just in it.
I am in it.
It's just like what you were just saying, that it's just happening and you're just in it and working really, really hard.
Yeah.
But you're not thinking into the future. You're just enjoying it.
Yeah, I think it's also I've had my fingers burnt, obviously, in the industry. So I'm trying not to think too far ahead. But I am really excited that, like, you know, a new generation of people will get to hear my music. And I don't really have to do anything for that. How amazing that some product exists that's already made. And I don't have to put any effort into that. And it will just come out in October and people can hear it.
Are you going to do like a launch party or like a performance or a tour?
Yeah, I think probably a launch or a couple of launch gigs or like a party celebration.
This is so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I have to really. It'll be a bit rubbish not to. But then, you know, I haven't sung in a long time, and I was thinking over the weekend, like, how will I find musicians to play with me, and who will I find, and what kind of musicians will they be, or what would I want to have? So I've got a lot of questions about that, but I think what I'll do is I'll start small and I'll start asking a lot of people that worked as my session musicians and have now gone on to much greater things and are still in the business. So I'll probably just go to them and say, like, where do I start? You know, because I have no idea.
So you're going to go back to asking those questions and those favours as well?
Yeah, like... exactly. And going, oh, guys. And the thing is, I've got a lot of credit. You know, I've got a lot of credit for favours. It's been a long time. I think people seem to want to help because they think it's really funny and it's a great story. So I think I'll have a lot of support. But once again, I only want to do something if I'm going to do it well and if my heart's in it and it's, you know, it feels authentic. If I feel that it's not going that way, I won't do any live gigs. But I still sound the same. Like, I've picked up my guitar recently. I've been singing at home with the guitar. Everything's the same. I haven't changed. I mean, obviously 20 years have passed. I probably look different. I'm sure I look different. But essentially, my voice is the same. I will write the same kind of songs if I continue to write songs. I'm not sure if I want to. I don't know at the moment.
Your whole approach and stuff, it sounds a bit Taylor Swifty, like, you know, because isn't she really into kind of the authorship of her work and like the ownership and the control over that? You're like a British sort of Taylor Swift.
Well, it's interesting because her path has been quite useful to me and you know, kind of echoes it in I'm a much smaller fish, but you know, she's recently re-recorded her old album
to own the songs again, right? Yeah.
Which
so for people who don't understand, so the label owned her songs, so she re-recorded them with slightly different music.
Yeah, so they own the masters.
Right.
Now the masters, when people talk about the masters, you think of it as like it's some physical thing, but it's like talking about the cloud, right? It's not really. It's just the last recording that was done by the label that they actually put onto the record. So the best possible version of that recording that was then pressed up onto CD or whatever it was. And usually there is a restriction when you sign a recording contract that is, if we part ways, you cannot own those masters for X number of years, which means there's a re-recording restriction. So I might say, fine, all right, do you know what? I'll just re-record my songs as an acoustic album with like recorders. No, I can't do that. I can't remix that song. I can't do anything.
You can't do anything at all
until you own those masters. And I think what happened with her was that she had a manager, Scooter Brown or something, that I think he sold her masters to somebody else. Or this happens a lot as well, where you might be in a position where you might need some money or whatever, and so you sell your masters, someone else owns them, and they own that right, so you can't re-record those songs. So I think with her, she's now got the right to re-record those songs back, and then she's re-recorded it. But I'm not sure. But I think
there was some trickery though about her re-recording it, meaning that they could keep their version and she had her
totally.
own.
Yeah, you can, because and that's what sort of, I think is that what's happened with me? No, it's similar what's happened with me, but the label gave me back my masters. One of the labels gave me back
That's
my
really
masters.
kind, right? That they could have kept it.
I think they just ran out of it's been such a long period of time.
Right, yeah.
Whereas Warner's still own my masters.
Oh, okay, so there's some music you still can't do anything with.
No, but they've agreed to release it digitally.
Right.
Because it doesn't exist on Spotify, you see. So you wouldn't be able to hear it, even though, and it wasn't released 20 years ago because it never got released.
So many people who have ownership over musicians. It always like bends my mind just thinking about how difficult that must be as an artist to try to stay free amongst that and to feel a sense of ownership when really what you're making, if you're signed to a label, is not yours.
I mean, I don't mind it. It hasn't been an obstacle or a problem for me, because I figure that if they pay me the money, they owned. It's like, I feel like it's like I've done a painting.
So you're like a jobbing musician.
Exactly.
They're like, here's this much money, and you're like, fine, okay, this is the deal. You can own this wonderful track.
That's how I saw it, and I never really questioned that. So the masters owning them or not didn't really matter to me. But yeah, I think it is annoying. I suppose it is annoying that you don't have the right over your own songs, but they paid a lot of money to get those songs made.
Yeah, I guess that's the other way to look at it.
Yeah, they spent $500,000, I think, on my album. It's a lot of money.
Wow.
Yeah, like that they'll never recoup. So that went into a hole. They're never going to make that
because
money
now
back.
you've got it and you're going to release it with a different record label.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even think, even if it did really well, it wouldn't make £500,000.
Well, they say that now, especially with streaming and YouTube and stuff, musicians mainly make stuff by touring and like doing gigs, and physical sales are way down.
Yeah, I think as well, like you might get a sync on something, so like a synchronization in a movie, or the end track of the next I don't know, Kate Winslet film or something, and then you can make money from that. But
and have you done that? Because I know it said somewhere that you'd helped write the music for The In-Betweeners.
Yeah, I wrote a song, and the music sync person that worked on The In-Betweeners heard it. I think it was on, because it had been, after my deals all went south, I then recorded music on my own. Like I called myself Bo Pepper, and it was like a band sort of thing. And I recorded and released it myself, and I managed to get it on Radio 1, Radio 2, etc. So someone heard it on there.
And this is what you were just saying, you paid for yourself.
I paid for that. Yeah, I paid for all of that. And then they heard it and they put it on the In-Betweeners soundtrack. I don't think I made a lot of money for it, but it was on like one episode. And it was nice. It was like really nice to
Super fun.
Do you know what? Everything's gone wrong. I haven't got a label deal, but people still like my music, because obviously with failure and success, it determines your self-worth and how good you think your music is. So when the album didn't come out, and when I got dropped, I thought my music's bad. And that's my black or white thinking, whereas actually it wasn't really about that in the first place. It just didn't work out. But there's plenty of artists every single day. Like, you go on, go down the high street and there'll be bands playing in pubs that are probably incredible, like the best guitarists in the world. But people don't get signed or they don't get a lucky break, and they'll just live out their life, and that's what happens. There's plenty of very talented people out there. It really is luck.
Well, and it also just makes you think, how do you quantify talent or worth? Because it's not always that somebody will give you that permission. Sometimes you just have to feel it inside and trust in what you want to make, and that's the thing that guides you, rather than waiting for people to commission you or invite you in. Sometimes you might have to just start, and then they might or they might not. But if you're doing it because you're enjoying what you're doing, then that's going to bring you that is already success.
That is its own reward.
That's success. Like, you're just seeing a project through and finishing it and being proud of something that you make. That's success, I think.
I think it's a really good point, and I think I've always struggled with that permission thing, because I've always felt like I get so far with something. It could be a script or a book. I'm writing a book at the moment, and then I get to the point where I'm like, right, I need to see if someone's interested before I finish it, because I'm not going to waste my time on this if no one's interested, which is probably not a great route. But it's like, I need someone to give me the permission, like to say this is good enough and you should continue. But really, do I need that? Probably not. I should do it anyway.
Well, and you've done so many things. I find you just so inspirational, because you've had this amazing career in music, but you also wrote plays, like, and writing a novel, which I didn't know you were doing. And do your comedy. You're an amazing mum. Like, you've got this full life. And what I love about you is that you follow that artistic kind of ambition and expression, however it guides you, and you just seem to work really, really hard and do what you love. And I see you as somebody who doesn't see any obstacles.
Oh God, it's
funny how we can be perceived, but that's how you come across, as somebody who can just go for it. You just have an idea and you just follow it through, and then look at you, like, you just do amazing things.
Well, I do have obstacles, definitely, and my biggest obstacle is, of course, myself. But when you were saying about all the things that I've done, I'm quite cyclical, so I do something usually for 1 to 2 years.
Interesting.
And then I appraise it and either continue or I do something else, and I've done this probably since I can remember.
Wow, that's a very kind of logical way of looking at
it's world. Pragmatic. It's really pragmatic. So, like, I did Twitch. I was streaming on Twitch. I did that for 2 years, and then I was like, this is not serving me. Okay, I need to diversify. I did a podcast. I was like, this is not serving me at the time. It was just it did what it needed to do, and then I was like, okay, it doesn't work now, because it was about the pandemic, and it it worked at that point. The book I worked on for like 2 years, and then I moved on. Acting, I go through spurts where I take time out. It could be a year, it could be 6 months, but I take time out from that because it's arduous to keep going and keep taking the rejection.
Well, I think as an actor, you need to love other things as well, and they always say that, and I always feel, I used to get annoyed by that when I was going to drama school, and actors were saying that, because it's like, no, fuck off, I just want to act. But I do think you have to find your pleasure elsewhere as well as loving what you do.
Definitely.
And also because there's such a feeling of powerlessness. You're waiting all the time
it's
for
horrible.
Somebody to give you permission to do what you love to do, and that can be quite an exhausting feeling after a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also I think it's kind of an addictive feeling, because if I get one job, then I'm like, right, I want the next one. Again, it's that thing where maybe you're not satisfied in the moment enough, because you get so hungry for it. And like I said, I need to fill my plate really, really wide, so that I'm not just thinking about that all the time.
I think you're right, though, it's very addictive.
Yeah.
Incredibly addictive, because it's like, you lost one race, so you bet on the next. And it's I feel like that with auditions. I don't get one, and then I have 2 days when I'm like the most depressed, horrible person in the world, and then I get another one comes through, and I'm like, it's because it's this one.
This is the one.
This is where I didn't get the other one.
This is meant to be.
This is the meant to be one. And then, of course, you don't get that. Or maybe you do. And then it's like, you move on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. But it is very addictive.
But you were saying you work in 2-year cycles.
Yeah, so 2-year cycles. So, like, at the moment, I'm working on a few things at the same time. So I've been doing TikTok since January. So I think probably by 2 years' time, I will be not doing that anymore. It's a lot. Like, I study it and then I'll go through it. I was the same. I did music when I did music production. So then I was producing, and then I was writing, all little different aspects of the same thing. When I wrote plays, did that for 2 years, stopped that, did something else. But at the moment, I'm doing more things than I've ever done at the same time, and it's not. I wouldn't advise it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really moving forward as much as I would like. The increments smaller when you've got more things to sort of. Yeah, it's sort of spread out.
Maybe it's not about moving forward though, it's about moving deeper. I don't know.
Maybe.
Just chucking out.
Yeah, maybe. Could be.
But also it sounds like you might be just super intelligent and gifted, and that you need challenges to keep you interested in things. That sounds like part of that.
I like that one. I mean, that's a better.
You know, like that you've learned everything you can, you do something really, really well, and then you want another challenge because you don't want to just sit in that same place anymore, because you just constantly want to be growing and evolving and using other muscles. Again, just so admirable, like amazing.
Thank you. It's so weird, isn't it? Because your perspective of things is so different to how I feel. I feel a lot of the time I feel like a complete failure, imposter. I question my ability all the time. I had a really dark spell a couple of weeks ago, actually, when I think the book that I've written, I had a couple of rejections, or people just not getting back to me quick enough. Acting, I hadn't got anything, and it was the first time where literally everything that I had gone for felt like, and you can easily like catastrophize and negativize this. So I was like, shit, nothing I'm doing is any good. And that was a voice in my head, was nothing I'm doing is any good, and it was horrible. And I had that for a good few days, and then I think I wrote an article for The Independent, and then they said, oh, that's good, yeah, that's going to come out today. And that turned it round for me, because I felt like, oh, maybe I can write, maybe I'm not useless. But it's a big old roller coaster, and once again, it's addictive, and I'm feeding off other people's opinions of me or whatever. And I don't have a constant sense of I'm a really good creative person, I'm really excellent writer, I'm a fantastic actor, I'm a brilliant musician. It's never a constant. It always seems to depend on the opinions of others and the feedback of others. You know, the likes on a post, or the shares on a video and that sort of thing. It's just, it's something I definitely struggle with.
But I think that's common for creatives.
Yeah, I would imagine
I think
so.
It doesn't, and that's the thing. I think with that mindset, it doesn't really matter where you are in the industry. If you win one BAFTA, now you want another one.
Yeah.
Like it might not matter where you get to. That like just being in that way, that mindset, it will always. I think that's just really, really common.
I think, yeah, because if you won one BAFTA and then 3 years pass and you're not nominated for anything, you'd be like, oh my God, did I just fluke that BAFTA?
Or you're like, why haven't I been nominated again? I've done all this great work. Like, yeah, I think that's just, I think you move through the industry and maybe you just get different problems at different levels and different
more
mindsets.
Money, more problems.
Yeah. But with the TikTok thing, I was going to say, like, is it quite, when you get something that's been watched, like 100,000 times or whatever, it must be quite hard then doing your next post and not just constantly checking, is your phone blowing up?
Yeah.
Do you just have to do it and put it away?
No, I can't. I'm not strong enough.
Okay.
I need that dopamine.
Yeah, because it is literally like the tech people have engineered it so that it will release the most amount of dopamine in your brain.
Yeah.
All the apps, because they are addictive. So that's why they changed all the notifications, because they realized that even when you see the little dot that says you have a notification, you get a little drip of dopamine. So then they were like, okay, let's up that. So I've been on TikTok for a couple of weeks, and I've had a couple of videos where I've had maybe like 10,000 views. And
that's good.
The addiction of that, though, like, of being like, I don't give a shit, I'm not going to look.
Yeah.
To then getting that blast when you lift up the phone, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, and
like
there's
hundreds of likes and comments
and, stuff,
and follows. And the way TikTok is made is so much more accessible than it feels like Instagram. And like I like the ethos, that it's kind of a bit more impromptu and kind of a little bit more scraggly.
It is, isn't it?
I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started to feel it was becoming like quite compulsive checking.
And that's when you've been doing it for like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, and I just thought that would really quickly change my perspective of what I'm doing.
TikTok's more like immediate, whereas Twitter, when I've had things that have gone viral on Twitter, it's different, because it feels like it's more been a build and it's more a specific audience or set of people that you can identify, whereas TikTok, like last week I put a video out that got like 140,000 views, I think, but then the next day I put something out that had 400 views.
Yeah.
So instead of thinking and keep looking at the video going up and up and up, I was looking at the one that was going down and staying down.
I did the same.
Didn't even bother to look at the other one. And every time it would go up another 10,000.
Doesn't matter.
Didn't matter. I didn't care.
Isn't it weird?
Well, no, it's
the way it's made.
Yeah, but also I think there's that saying, isn't there, about when you play to an audience of 100 people and there's one person that doesn't like you, all you can think about is the one person that doesn't like you. But I've recognised, sounds like fucking therapy speak, but I've recognised that I am very much addicted to TikTok, and I need to stop it, because actually I'm a grown woman and I've got a lot of things I need to be doing apart from just putting the bins out and looking after my child. I honestly can't be spending so much time devoted to it when actually it really doesn't give me very much back. And I don't mean like financially, I mean like spiritually. It's giving me nothing back.
Well, it gives you a blast, and then it's just you're hungry.
Not real, because there are 140,000 people who have had my video pushed out to them because another group of people watched it a lot. It's very arbitrary. It doesn't mean it's good. And it's different in a way. Like Instagram or Twitter, you kind of need to put something that's half decent for it to go viral. You're not just going to have a clip of someone falling down a well with a funny caption. Whereas TikTok, anything can go viral. It could be like the most, and it favours the banal. It favours people with no specific talent.
And it feels more random, like I was saying.
It's entirely random. It's like trap roulette.
Yeah, it's like something can really catch the wind. But I kind of like that about it.
Yeah.
What the rule I imposed was that I would make something and then I wouldn't check it. Like I would just, the next day if I was going to put something else on, I would happen to see how many likes and shares.
Right, okay.
Because also I noticed when I was checking more, I had less views.
Interesting.
And I felt like I feel like TikTok.
They know. They can see.
I feel like the more you engage with it, then they know they've got you. Whereas I feel if you just post and then leave, they're desperate to get you back. So they boost your thing to get you more and more notifications.
It's kind of like a dating app, really. Yeah. Apparently that's how dating apps work as well.
Really?
Yeah, it's like if you don't go on for a while, it's just the kind of people you see that they push into your feed will be different because they're trying to hook you back in.
Exactly. They want you. They just want users.
They don't want you to find someone. That's not the goal. They need you to stay on there because it's so very expensive. I mean, I had a look on one recently, and it was like I think it was £40 a month, which is a big investment.
Jesus.
You could basically go. I could go to the gym for that much money a month, and maybe meet someone in the gym and work on myself.
Take yourself out for dinner, for a really nice dinner once a month.
That's it.
Sit on your own in a restaurant and have a lovely night.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be better off, wouldn't you? I suppose. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe. You might be a nice waiter or something.
It just sounds nice going for dinner on your own. I got excited then.
It can happen. It can happen.
But so you're releasing your album. What's the name of your album?
It's called Cocoon.
Cocoon. It's coming out in October.
October 6th. Yeah.
Can't wait. If you need like a dancer. Someone to juggle or hand out towelettes, I'm there.
The handing out of the towelettes that's not been filled yet. So but you'll have to audition.
Oh God,
sorry.
Okay, contact my agent.
Okay, no worries.
Before we wrap up, I was just going to ask if you have any ginspirations that you would like to. So any people that have ginspired you.
Oh, that have ginspired me.
Yeah.
Harry Styles. I mean, he's just wonderful. He's the best pop star of our generation for sure. Not my generation. He's younger than me, but. He is next gen. He is just like a rock star. He's
young
like
Mick Jagger.
A young Mick Jagger mixed with David Bowie. All the best. I mean, his songs are incredible. He looks great.
So if you're listening, Harry.
Harry Styles.
You're free on the 6th of October.
Get him to come and sing with me. Yeah, I mean, it's totally possible. Shall I write him a little letter and put it in a brown package and slip it through his door?
And I'll try and find him on Facebook.
Yeah, great idea. Really well. Yeah, I wonder what you get. Imagine what
between
kind of
us, we'll definitely find him.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on here today.
Me.
It's been an absolute delight, darling.
Thank
you very much. Cheers. Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.